Alrighty, so we're doing more Warframe related content. You guys enjoyed the last two Warframe videos, so I guess I'll keep doing more. And I was thinking around about what to do, and I thought maybe we could look at some hot takes. Problem is, I don't have Twitter or any sort of social media, nowhere to really get like a good pool of people for hot takes. But luckily I managed to find this thread that's about 5 months old now, so it might be a little outdated in some areas. Most of it should probably still be relevant. Now, of course, if you guys disagree with any of these people, don't go out there and target them. That's dumb and stupid. But let's go ahead and get started. So Legion X and X started this thread, and it says, I will start first. If you are making a build on a Warframe and it involves Nourish, it's a trash build. I definitely do not agree with this. Nourish is probably like, it's in the top 5 best helmet abilities, I believe. It's probably A tier or S tier. Also, I feel like this is just like too broad of a take. So like any frame with Nourish is just automatically a trash build when that's definitely not the case. Looking over here on my Valkyr, I have Nourish on. Does that mean this is a terrible build? No. The point of Nourish is more so to get better energy generation. And also the viral damage is nice. It's a good bonus. The energy generation is a good thing. So does having Nourish on this Valkyrie build make it bad? No, because I still have good survivability, I don't struggle for damage, and I have good energy upkeep. Those are like the main 3 priorities of a build. I know people love their Roar, their Eclipse, you know, Oonga Boonga damage, but not every frame struggles for damage. 2 other frames I have Nourish on are Korra and Mesa. They both don't struggle for damage, they just need better energy upkeep. And someone might say, oh well, why not use Arcane Energize? The problem with Energize is that it's on a 15-second cooldown, so it's not super consistent. It doesn't work too well for super ability spam, which is what Korra is doing, it's what Mesa is doing. Nourish is a more consistent income. Now for Korra's case, you could put on Lycan's Hunt and have on Equilibrium. I prefer Nourish because the extra viral damage is nice. It helps for just all my weapons. It helps for Whip Claw if I need it on a more tanky target. And it is more energy generation than Lycan's Hunt. Is it Lycast or what do you say it? Oh, where is it? Lycast Hunt. My bad. Now you can get, I don't know if you can affect the drop chance by strength. You probably can, which would be like a guaranteed health orb, which with Equilibrium, that would be guaranteed energy. But Nourish works just fine in this case. I don't struggle with Nourish at all for energy upkeep. And also having Nourish means that I don't have to run Equilibrium, whereas if I run Lycast Hunt, I would have to run Equilibrium. Now, of course, Lycast Hunt, you can't get headshot kills for energy. You're not doing that on Korra. You're using Whip Claw more than likely. That's the whole point of Korra, really. And also the farming build that you can have with Pilfering Strangledom. But point stands, does having a build with Nourish on it make it trash? No. You don't have to be a fan of Nourish, but just having it on doesn't mean that it's bad. Like having Rebuild Shields on is probably the worst subsume in the game. Does that mean your build is trash? No, it just means that Rebuild Shields, we could probably switch that out. Your mod config could probably be right. One ability does not determine the entire build, or rather the quality of the build. It determines part of it, but not the whole thing. Anyway, I think this is just like too broad. Nourish is good. Continue on, hot take, trying to police other people's build is a crappy thing to do. While I agree that I don't really think this is policing, he's saying Nourish is for trash builds. So he's not saying that you can't do it. I think policing is more so saying that you can't do this. But actual hot take, stealth frames as a whole need reworks because all of them are only good for their stealth and that makes them boring. I don't know if I completely agree with that. Now, while I don't have all prime frames, I've gotten through all the base frames at least. Still need to subsume some of them. But Ash immediately stands out for me. He's an Invis frame, but he is really good outside of his Invis. His Blade Storm does a ton of damage, and Invis is pretty good for survivability. You know, you don't have to worry about surviving if you don't take any damage. Obviously, you can still take damage, but Ash, he's an Invis frame, and he's still really good with Blade Storm. Looking further, we got Cyto 9. He's insane. I really should get another one of him because his sniper is really fun to use. Firing through walls, it's crazy what he can do. Who else is there? Ivara, I will say, is on the bad side. That's because her Invis with Prowl is really slow, and then her quiver is alright, but the bubble radius is pretty dang slow. She's supposed to be more of like a stationary frame, and I don't think most people enjoy playing that way. And the Artemis bow is underwhelming for an Exalted. I mean, when you've got Exalteds like Jade, Korra, Mesa, Cyto 9, Atlas, Ash, Baruch, Ivara probably has the worst Exalted. Forgot to mention Hildren, she has a good Exalted as well. Valkyr. But besides her and Ash, and I guess Cyto 9 fine. There's not too many stealth frames in the game. I mean, I guess you can count Octavia, she has invis, and Aurexia has invis too, actually. So I won't say that stealth frames as a whole need reworks. It's more so just like Avara needs a rework, but they're not only good for their stealth, like we just mentioned, Side 09. You don't even have to use his stealth. And also on the subject of boring, that is completely subjective. Some people find stealth really fun. Some people find it boring, you know? People have their own takes. Responsive hot take, calling a build trash is not policing builds if that build is trying to be pushed as if it's good. Yeah, I just mentioned this about policing builds. Bait thread, op just wants some smoke. Okay. You are right, Nourish is pretty trash in 99% of the circumstances people use it in. What are these circumstances? The circumstances I'm aware of are for Mesa, Korra. That's mostly it. Because if people don't need more energy upkeep, they're just using Roar or Eclipse mostly. Completely destroys weapon weightings and doesn't provide any status chance, like 60-60 mods to compensate for it. I mean, I guess, like you want your weapon to more so be heat weighted for the armor reduction, but viral is still a really good status. I mean, all your weapons have viral and heat, as those are the best two status effects. Same concept around Zenark as a whole, trash focused school. It's definitely not trash, because again, providing for energy is really good. I would say if your frame build does not have good energy upkeep, then that is not a good build. If you struggle for energy, you're not doing something right. Lazy way to compensate for bad build energy economy. Nourish on Grindel though is goated. Honestly, I don't think Nourish on Grindel is that much different from its Helminth variant. The Helminth variant is nerfed. What is it again? It's mainly, let me see here. Let's see what the difference is. Self-heal removed and effect reduced. Oh yeah, it does self-heal you on Grindel, so that is very nice, and the effect is reduced, but it still has a great effect on Helminth, especially if you're running strength builds, or really just any amount of strength. Korra only has 144% strength, and then an additional 60 with Molt Augmented built up. My not so hot take is that Corvix is diabolically bad and is easily the worst Warframe in the entire game next to Oberon. Rework will probably make Oberon more usable again, yippee. I don't have a Corvix built up, but from what I've seen from other people's gameplay that he can do, he's definitely not the worst Warframe in the entire game. Oberon, we know the rework now and how that worked. Oberon is decent now. His smite could still be stronger, but he has a good passive now at least, and the rest of his abilities are alright. I'd say Oberon's probably B tier now. Let's see, worst frame in the game. Who would I say that is? There's the obvious one, Limbo. I would say Corvex is better than Limbo. He's better than Vauban. He's better than Avara. Gyra, I don't know. I need to mess with her more. And he's definitely better than, I have her up here, Equinox. Equinox is seriously underwhelming. And he's also better than Chroma. His abilities don't work properly, and casting speed doesn't properly affect a lot of them. His polarized line of sight checks, despite being insanely low base range, and when an enemy walks into it and gets irradiated, no enemies will walk into it anymore and they will start shooting the now irradiated enemy. His 2 is bad and doesn't group consistently, is absolutely forward. When any verticality is in the question, range only increases the distance and not the width of grouping as well. The armor stripe augment should be base kit. It's also not useful when using his 4 augment to stay in his beam forever. His 4 is terrible and doesn't do a meaningful amount of damage without insane density, and even then you can see the HP slowly whittle down. Not a good thing when enemies are the most paper thin they have been in the history of Warframe. His abilities have low base stats and he requires too many stats to function on a fundamental level. I don't know, like Corvix is not amazing by any means, but he's not bad from what I've seen. Again, I can't speak on this too much because I don't have him built up. I do have him right here. I need to subsume him to Helminth, but I've seen people be able to do pretty good damage with Crucible Blast plus Chirinka Pillar. His 3, looking at it, sounds good. Guard against status effects. Status effects can be really deadly. If anything, they are pretty much what will take you down in the later levels of the game. So I won't speak too much on him because I just don't know that much about him. You know, I want to speak on stuff that I'm actually confident in and have tested. Yeah, energy regen speed is for chumps. Okay. All my homies use Energize, and then he goes, okay, Arcane energizes for chumps too. Oh, this guy's in old school. He's playing like he's MR2. The only energy you get is what you get at the start of the mission, and that's it. Really though, I do think Arcane Energize is overrated. It's definitely not bad, but the 15-second cooldown on it for me makes it not so appealing. Hot take, calling something trash is the very act of trying to push a gameplay style on other people, which is essentially trying to play police. Yeah, I know that this is going to go back and forth. And then this guy replying to the Nourish is trash Hot Take says same with Roar and Wrathful Advance. Wrathful Advance is not needed on most frames. I'd say it's really good on Ash, as his Blade Storm crit chance is 5%, whereas Wrathful Advance makes you be able to hit orange crits, sometimes even red crits, depending on how you build it. Roar is, I mean, it's probably the best subsume, just flat out more damage for any frame. Real builders use Gloom. I have not messed with Gloom builds at all. And then Hot Take, if you change a build because someone, okay, they're just, yeah, I didn't know there was going to be a back and forth on this. Just gonna skip that, you know. I came here for hot takes, not Twitter takes. Common thing abilities was a mistake. Previously, you were forced to build around every Warframe differently. Now all you do is max strength and dump efficiency, since you'll either use Nourish or cope with Equilibrium and Roar, or far the most boring playstyle, which isn't even needed in any level 1 to 5,000 content. Again, on the boring side, that's again subjective. I think it's really fun to, you know, do ooga booga big numbers. I wouldn't say Helmet thing abilities was a mistake. I think they just need there needs to be more variety in Helmet in terms of what actually feels nice to use. Abilities that I think are good, Breach Surge, Bright Bonnet, Eclipse. I'll say Evade is good. There are some frames that you can use it on that's pretty fun. Gloom, I'll say Gloom is good. Nourish, Village, Roar. I mean, Thermal Sunder's on Titania. Wrathful Advance. And that's about it. There are build ideas that I get in mind, like I thought about running Shock on Mesa with Conjunction Voltage, the Arcane, you know, using Shock Trooper, but then I find out that Shock Trooper does not apply to Exalted. I thought about running Airburst on Mesa with Airburst rounds and found out that Airburst rounds does not work on Mesa's Exalted. It does work on Hildren's Exalted, funny enough, but really so many of these abilities are just not good to where no one you would even really ever consider using them. Like seriously, Master's Summons, where the heck is it, so I can laugh at Rebuild Shields on 12-second cooldown when we have on stuff like Augur mods and Brief Respite. Sentient Wrath might be decent, but oh hey, Frontal Cast only and Tau status effect removed. Oh hey, maybe we can use Smite on a different ability. Oh, reduce maximum strength when it's already not good on Oberon. There are 76 Helmet abilities, and yet you only use like maybe 7 of them at most. So I don't exactly think helmeting abilities was a mistake, and you still are forced to build around every Warframe differently to an extent, because some want strength, some want a lot of range, some want duration, some can dump duration, some can dump strength. You know, there still is build variety, but I will agree that you can more so dump efficiency a lot easier now with stuff like Nourish, because if Nourish wasn't available, well, I'd probably just put on Bright Bonnet then. But if Bright Bonnet and Nourish wasn't available, I probably would not dump efficiency as much as I do on most of my frames. Although some frames can still get by with low efficiency, because Arcanes will fix them. Like Garuda right here, 45% efficiency. That's because her 3 takes care of that. And my 3 damages me, well, Molt Reconstruct takes care of that. Oh, I need to switch this back to Korra. This was supposed to be my Korra loadout, whoops. Also, Helmet can help out some frames that were already kinda dookie. Like for example, Ember I don't think is that good. She's not terrible. She still is like a B tier character. But her 4 does some pretty weak damage, and Roar is able to help with that at least. So, you know, there's pros and cons of Helma, and it just depends on how you look at it. Honestly, this is solid hot take of respect and something I can 1000% agree with. I'm 50-50 on it. I can see Jordan's point, but on the other hand, I do think Helmuth can allow for more build variety, because you're able to get rid of the abilities on frames that are trash, or be able to help up from some frames that are not that good. Spam Decoy Profit. I have not messed around with Decoy. This is a reply to Jordan's about helmets. I don't think the idea of helmet system was that bad. Just adding stuff like Roar / Eclipse into it extra isn't very good design. I don't know, man, because then if you let's say you remove Roar and Eclipse, well then every build is just going to have Nourish. Remove Nourish, then every build is just going to have Bright Bonnet. It's just people just go to the next best thing. It's like a pyramid. You take away something from the top, people go to the next layer. Should have been more oriented towards utility, at least with stuff like Shock and Shock Trooper, Thermal Sunder and Thermal Transfer, Tempest Barrage and Viral Tempest. You need to use a mod slot on top of the helmet for most, if not all, of the benefit. Yeah, but then there's the issue with stuff like Shock Trooper does not apply to Exalted, and your weapons already are so good that you don't really need Shock Trooper or Thermal Sunder. The Thermal transfer, etc. Problem is with the older Warframes, a lot of them just have at least one obsolete ability, and it's just screaming at you to get rid of it with no downsides. I mean, that's not exactly just old frames. There's a lot of frames that have abilities that you can easily remove. Maybe it is more so on the older side. I mean, Protea, you can get rid of her 4 pretty comfortably. Saren, you can get rid of her 4. Her 4 is still decent. You can definitely live without it. Not many frames have a well-rounded ability package. Most of them have at least one that's like, yeah, you can definitely live without it. But it is true that it might more so be on the older side. Lack of Universal Bane mod also doesn't help with the whole subsuming roar onto everything. A Universal Bane mod would be really crazy. Although I suppose they would only make it like 1.15x damage multiplier. But I don't mess with Bane mods because I don't want to have to spec into each faction. I prefer consistency. I can bring the same loadout to everywhere. It will do well. Status damage oriented builds do so much less damage without a Bane mod for double/triple dipping, and the existence of Void Fishers corrupting enemies and switching their factions for missions where Banes are the most relevant. No reason to do endless non-Fisher. This is for the most part true, except for Void Cascade, because then you can at least get a bunch of Arcanes. But for like just a regular Void survival, no relics going on, yeah, there's not much reason to do that for 9 hours or whatever. Doesn't help the anti-player friendly Bane mod archetype. That and it costs so many resources to even get all the Prime Bane mods in the first place. Prime mods do be expensive endo-wise. They cost a ton. I'm gonna be honest, I don't get the whole talk on Banes. I do without them just fine. There are some weapons that are good, there are some weapons that are bad. That's just how it is. Instantly killing everything while being borderline untouchable and unkillable is incredibly boring and heavily lacks the engagement needed to even call it gameplay. And yet people complain about damage attenuation because it takes a whole 30 seconds to kill a boss instead of just one. No, that damage attenuation was it takes 30 minutes to kill a boss instead of a minute. Obviously this July 27th, I think damage attenuation was still around at this time, but not having damage attenuation anymore is really nice. It feels like my builds actually matter. The problem with damage attenuation was that it basically saw no difference between an MR5 player and an MR30 player, which does not feel good. About the instantly killing everything and being unkillable, being boring, that's subjective. Some people really enjoy that. I kind of enjoy that because that's part of build crafting, just seeing what I can come up with and see it actually work and go as well as I hoped that it would. That's a nice feeling. But yeah, in terms about difficulty, I do think that it would be nice if there was another difficulty level. I don't know how that would work, but it would be nice if there was some challenging content in the game. That's optional to do. Whenever I advocate for difficulty in any sort of sense, I always want it to just be optional because I understand some people like easy content, but some people like difficult content too, so I think both should be able to get what they want. But hey, if you don't want to instantly kill everything or be untouchable, then just play Limbo, or play Equinox, or play Chroma. There you go, that's your solution. I'm kidding, by the way, that's not a real solution. Hot take, the modding system is garbage and railroads you into only a few specific viable in-game builds. I don't think that's completely true. No, I definitely disagree with this. In terms of in-game builds, that really just depends on the weapon you're using itself and also the frame you're using itself. Stone frames are just not good for endgame. They either lack survivability or lack damage. I don't think being in-game viable has much to do with the modding system. I think that just has to do with how good the weapon is on its own and how good the frame is on its own. Although to be fair, I think you can pretty much bring any frame into endgame. You'll just have a harder time with others. Like bringing Korra into endgame, you're gonna be really easy. It's gonna be chill. You're gonna be relaxing. Meanwhile, you try bringing Gyra into endgame, you're gonna have a little bit more of a difficult time. And the modding system is not responsible for that. It's just how her numbers are. They're not built for endgame. It all comes down to the kit the frame has. Could the modding system be more in-depth? Yeah, maybe. It's not responsible for whether a build is in-game viable or not. Ballast did nothing wrong. Never mind, I can't say that out loud with a straight face. Okay, there you go. He tried to bait you in the first half. Duveri was meh at best. Honestly, I don't think that's much of a hot take. I will say the Duveri questline, it was good. I enjoyed it. In terms of post-game Duveri, I don't really enjoy it too much. Part of it could be just that the resource grind, or it is actually miserable. The resources are just not that rewarding. I get there needed to be tests for Soulframe, but Duveri Drifter stuff was meh, just more of the same old add everything but more frames into Warframe. In terms of doing the lone story over and over again, I have not done the Duveri experience or lone story that much because I just don't enjoy it a ton. I only go there if I need a farm and material for an incarnate, and Circuit isn't terrible. I think the problem is when you don't get frames that you have built up or that you enjoy. Same with the weapons. Sometimes you're just screwed on your weapon options and your frame options. Like right now, I've got Core Prime, so I'm chilling. Could do a circuit run, easy, no problem. It will be chill. Although one issue with Steel Path Circuit is levels 1 to 5 is about an hour. Level 5 to 10 is about 3 or 4 more hours. I like the Drifter and New War story, but the whole Deviri story and story stuff about Thrax was disappointing and underwhelming ultimately. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the Deviri story too much. I just don't think it's that memorable. And whole random loadouts for farming content there stops being fun after a while. Suffered to get my incarnate stuff and never look back. And yeah, I'm kind of there too. I just farm materials for incarnates and then I'm good. Not exactly looking forward to doing more Deviri stuff. A reply to the modding take, I agree with this as well, but I could also make an argument and say that the other elements you can farm and use are nowhere near as practical as just slapping on viral and electricity to melee influence your way into clearing Steel Path in seconds. You don't even need viral on your melee, just put on electricity for influence, and then on your other weapons put viral and heat, and then you're good. The other elements are not that great. Hot take, telling me how to have fun is a garbage thing to do. I mean, that's not a hot take. Telling people how to have fun is always trash. Hot take, if you get pressed over someone calling out an ability, you need to go outside. Fair enough. Hot take, if you are bothered in any way by someone's opinion on how to play a game, then it's likely because you have some major okay, man, they just keep repeating themselves. Okay, real hot take, the game relies too much on mathematics right now, and it's really no longer any fun to make builds because I have to whip out a spreadsheet to make a build good enough to handle in-game content. I don't think you need to do mathematics, man. You know, sure, you can do calculations if you really want to, but for the most part, you can just go into Simulacrum and you can at least feel out your build against the enemies. Also, I mean, there's too many factors to do proper calculations. But yeah, DE could probably be more clear on some modding stuff, like he mentions down here. I find it often even the math is convoluted, like mods being additive and multiplicative. Like, yeah, they really should explain additive and multiplicative modding. It could just be, you know, a little bit more clear, specifying what mods do exactly and how that actually affects the full calcs. Because I'm going to be honest, looking at my Bratton right here, for example, 217 total damage. What does that mean exactly? How good is 217 total damage? It's not the most clear. Okay, people need to shut up about being insecure over abilities and whatnot. I'm just skipping that. Reply to the calculation thing. Sure, you need to take into account a lot of multiplayers to make a good or optimal build, but nowadays, not really. After Jade Shadows, the bar for usable builds, even in EDA/ETA, have become pretty low. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, you don't even have to focus on weapons that much, because some frame abilities just help out so much for doing damage. Or you just have so much survivability from Warframe abilities that it doesn't matter. Like Dante, for example, provides so much overguard that it's really dang near impossible to die. Though damage attenuation is pretty lame, I don't think it's that bad in some boss fights to let the enemy actually play for a bit. Well, it's gone now, so this point is pretty redundant. But it definitely should not be as overtuned as a Steel Path Weaver node on the last boss. Normal enemies should never have damage attenuation though. Like the Araxia boss fight felt completely fine even with a little bit of damage attenuation that it had. Did it have damage attenuation? I don't even know. It seemed like Araxia got melted pretty fast to me. Damage attenuation talk is redundant now. It's gone, thank goodness. Hot take, stealth is cool and just making them all map nukes like every other non-stealth frame is boring. Again, subjective. That's what I was talking about earlier about stealth is fun to some people. This guy enjoys it. Nowadays, Warframe is about just how powerful you can get. Just messing around with different ways to just wipe out enemies. Dang, it's already been 49 minutes. What the heck? Man, it really is a lot of the same people. Okay, let's go into like some of the shorter lines. Neza is a trap. Okay. Warframe is awesome until you get to endgame where everything one-shots you. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what this guy is entirely talking about. I do think Warframe has some sort of issue with damage received and tanking. It's either you get absolutely annihilated in one shot, well, two technically because of shield gating. You're either literally immune to damage, you have so much damage resistance that you are basically immune, or you just get flat out one-shotted. Well, two-shotted again. There is not much of an in-between in the higher levels. There is no gradual whittling you down. It's either you take a ton of damage or you take no damage. There's no in-between. That being said, Warframe is still awesome. I don't know if this is a hot take, but IMO DE is not doing nearly enough to move this game forwards. They are just repeating the same stuff for years. I don't know about that. I do think DE does quite a bit of innovation. If you want to ask what I think the problem is, in quotation marks, it's just that they don't don't do ginormous updates or like frequent enough updates that are massive. I know everyone clowns on Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 does have more sizable updates than Warframe. Now, is Destiny 2 in the gutters right now? Yes, absolutely. But getting an update of a pretty good size does feel nice. Whereas Warframe, typically on the smaller side, but it is typically at least good content. Like the old piece that came out recently, to me it doesn't feel that large since I would mainly play Destiny 2, but it still is good content. It would be nice to have massive content drops every year, but I just don't think they're going to do that. More like DE being attention deficit zoomers searching for their next big thing that they drop after 2 to 3 updates and never return to. I mean, you don't have to be that harsh on calling them that. Yes, they do have an issue of just they release something and they don't really update it a whole lot. Like, when was the last Railjack update? When was the last Deveria update? When was the last thing DE did anything with kit guns? I do think it would be nice to revisit some areas of the game and add more content to it or freshen it up, something. I genuinely dislike Deveria and rarely play, but now that you mention it, it does feel like it was all to test out Soulframe. Yeah, I do agree with it seeming like a test for Soulframe or just something along that lines. And I'm not interested into Soulframe personally, but I understand that other people are interested in it, and that's completely fine. Game is a step away from being just a phone tapper game, and most frames people call reworks for are just those that require you to engage with the game's mechanics and only need some buffs / quality of life updates. Kinda. I mean, I can't really say Limbo is engaging to play. Equinox technically is, because you got basically like 6 abilities. Chroma isn't really engaging. Ember isn't really engaging. A lot of the frames that are weak just have poor numbers. Wukong works just fine without Slam Span. I don't play Wukong too much, but I mean, that's definitely true. Wukong has some other good abilities. Play however you want. That's not a hot take, that's the most cold take ever. Nourish is lazy, Roar is lazy, shield gaining is absurd, Ember sucks, people who play Revenant are lazy, people who play Wisp are either lazy or prepubescent boys. Titania with learned thermal thunder is lazy, Rolling Guard sucks, Carrier is the best companion, Panzer is the worst companion, and maxing your damage isn't necessary. Grindel is one of the best frames in the game. Am I forgetting anything? Okay, true. I don't know why he targets Wisp like that. Look, man, I play Wisp because the motes are really fun, and also she's got that Gia. Titania, yeah, true. Rolling Guard's alright. I don't think it sucks. I disagree with that a lot. I disagree with that too. This is true, you don't absolutely need a min-max. It's just that overkill is fun. Grindel's not bad, but he's not the best. If you're saying that you like enjoy him the most, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But yeah, some stuff is lazy, but that's just how we are. We care a lot about efficiency. And then he goes on to say Incarnate weapons are stupid, Kuva weapons are stupid, Tant weapons, and Kodo weapons are stupid. That I do not agree with. Incarnate weapons are basically what Ribbons should have been, or they at least achieved the goal of Ribbons better than what Ribbons actually do, i.e. taking a terrible weapon and making it good actually. And then this guy adds Overguard, Dante, Torrid, Melee Influence, and if you want to go in deep, Octavia. So basically just listing the meta, besides Ember sucking. Ember could definitely be better. She's not trash, but she's just not great. Yeah, you're forgetting to elaborate. Right now it looks like you're simply calling out everything that's popular rather than having real points. Yeah, he is calling out everything that's popular. That's because the world ended in 2012 and we are all the soulless remnants stuck in a simulated reality that exists only of reboots, rehashes, and reworks. DE is Disney. What? I'll be honest, some of these hot takes I can't even respond to because I just literally do not understand. I mean, melee influence is kind of a problem, but like, let's be real here. Compared to primary and secondaries completely dominating for years, with melee having a chance to stand up with just melee influence alone, I say leave it. Didn't melees used to dominate for years? I could be wrong there. You'll have to correct me. But the reason why I say to just leave melee influence alone for now is because it's kind of like the only good melee arcane. Looking at most of the melee arcanes, Crescendo, you can do some fun stuff. Dottie is very, very niche. You're not going to get it active most of the time. Duplicate is also kind of niche. A lot of your melee weapons are going to be getting orange crits or maybe even red crits. Exposure is good. I like it. Influence, of course. And then everything else, kinda not that great. Melee Cream is probably pretty fun, although you're not really using your melee for that. You're just using your roll. There Nourish is a lazy man's way of min-maxing DPS. Dude, it's not for DPS, it's for energy upkeep. That's why people use Nourish. If people want to do more damage, then they'll just use Roar or Eclipse. Why are you talking about Nourish for damage? I'll elaborate even further. People seem to think you need Viral on 100% of things. Yeah, I mean, that's mostly true. Viral is one of the best elements to run. If you're not running Viral, then you're losing out on a lot of damage. There are other subsumes that give you even more clear speed. I mean, yeah, you can run Roar with a Viral setup on your weapon. People seem to think that seeing higher damage numbers is better clear speed. Okay, what are you talking about with clear speed? What, you can't say DPS? Even without Nourish, we're killing things pretty much instantly by just armor stripping, and we barely even need that for most content. That is pretty true. Some weapons are better than others. Some weapons just outright suck. Some weapons are just mid-tier. Some weapons are goated. As for the energy regen, you don't need Blind Rage to clear most content. It should be building more for efficiency. Yeah, you don't need Blind Rage to clear most content, but you also don't need a ton of efficiency, because my Wisp has Blind Rage because I don't struggle for energy upkeep. My Mirage has Blind Rage because I don't struggle for energy upkeep. My Octavia has Blind Rage. I can make a build with Blind Rage on Perdia. I don't have one currently, but I can make one because I have energy upkeep with Dispensary. Saren. I think I run Blind Rage on my Saren, right? Yep, 45% efficiency. And no Nourish in sight. No Energize in sight. And I don't run Zenric on it either, because again, I don't struggle for energy upkeep with just using Equilibrium and getting kills. This one I do because I'm more so trying to shield gate with Molt, so I actually have pretty good efficiency. This one has Blind Rage again, but Strength is just fun to dump into because it's really easy to with Blind Rage reducing efficiency, and you can easily take care of 45% efficiency with other stuff. I mean, Archon Stretch on my Wisp. This is my energy upkeep. This is all I need. Efficiency is just an easy stat to dump. The second easiest stat to dump would be range. That's a little bit more frame dependent. Some frames you want range, like my Wisp for example. Some frames you don't really need range, like my Mesa for example. It just depends on what frame you're playing. Try to use 45% ability efficiency. If you struggle with energy upkeep, then put your efficiency up to 100% or put it to 75%. All right, let's do one more hot take and then we'll call it there. Make formers take 12 hours instead of 24. Yeah, I think they've already talked about that. Is there another good hot take around? Okay, what's this hot take? My hot take, zooming around AoEing mobs down is the only fun part of this game. 90% of the other system in this game becomes so anti-player that you're fighting the mechanic instead of enjoying it, including drifter and operator sections. Spend 1,000 hours building a Warframe and weapons to be OP. Play as a slow motion console third person story mode. Again, we're back to subjective. I mean, all this stuff is subjective, of course, but zooming around being the only fun part of the game. I mean, I enjoy going fast. Warframe is kind of just a fast game. That's what it's really supposed to be. Bullet jumping around, rolling around, you got stuff that buffs your movement speed like crazy. It is somewhat jarring to switch into your drifter or operator and be going super slow, but that's just how it is. And then this guy says that statement, this but in reverse, tired of playing as a Warframe, needs slow content. So I guess he wants more stuff like Duviri. I'll take those heirloom stuff should be cash only so poor people can't have it. I mean, if someone really wants it, they're gonna put out the cash. I mean, hey, I bought the Valkyrie heirloom pack on Steam with cash. Alright, I think that's enough hot takes for now. I say the bickering back and forth on leasing builds or whatever is pretty annoying. I never enjoy seeing people bicker back and forth, which is kind of funny. I know it sounds ironic that I'm reading hot takes and giving my opinions, but my goal is to do so in a way that I'm not targeting the person or being annoyed with them, being frustrated by them, nothing like that. Not arguing, just having a nice conversation. Anyway, if you want to see more hot takes, just let me know and I'll do more of them. See y'all in the next video.